The Real Inspector Hound by Tom Stoppard.
Yeah.
It was first given, the first performance was on the 17th of June 1968 at the Criterion Theatre, London, with the two main characters, Richard Briers and Ronnie Barker. The first thing is that the audience appear to be confronted by their own reflection in a huge mirror. Impossible. However, back there in the gloom, not at the footlights, a bank of plush seats and pale smudges of faces. The total effect having been established, it can be progressively faded out as the play goes on, until the front row remains to remind us of the rest, and then finally, merely two seats in that row, one of which is now occupied by Moon. Between Moon and the auditorium is an acting area which represents, in as realistic an idiom as possible, the drawing room of Muldoon Manor, French windows at one side, a telephone fairly well upstage, and the body of a man lies sprawled face down on the floor in front of a large settee. This settee is of a size and design to allow it to be wheeled over that body, hiding it completely. Silence, the room, the body, Moon. Moon stares blankly ahead. He turns his head to one side, then the other, then up, then down, waiting. He picks up his programme and reads the front cover. He turns over the page and reads. He turns over the page and reads. He turns over another page and reads. He looks at the back cover and reads. He puts it down, crosses his legs, and looks about. He stares front. Behind him and to one side, barely visible, a man enters the auditorium and sits down. Bird boot. Pause. Moon picks up his programme, glances at the front cover and puts it down impatiently. Pause. Behind him there is the crackle of a chocolate box. Absurdly loud. Moon looks round. He and Bird boot see each other. They are clearly known to each other and they acknowledge each other with constrained waves. Moon looks straight ahead. Bird boot comes down to join him with his box of black magic. And he makes his way to join Moon and plumps himself next to him. He's plumpish, middle-aged, Bird boot, and a younger, taller, far less relaxed Moon.
Me and the lads have had a meeting in the bar and decided it's first-class family entertainment. But if it goes on beyond 10:30, it's self-indulgent. Pass it on. I'm on my own tonight. Don't mind if I join you.
Hello, Bird boot.
Where's Higgs?
I'm standing in.
Where's Higgs?
There's Higgs. Every
What?
time.
What?
It's as if we only existed one at a time, combining to achieve continuity. I keep space warm for Higgs. My presence defines his absence. His absence confirms my presence. His presence precludes mine. When Higgs and I walk down this aisle together to claim our common seat, the oceans will fall into the sky and the trees will hang with fishes.
Where's Higgs?
The very sight of me with a complimentary ticket is enough. The streets are impassable tonight. The country is rising and the cry goes up from hill to hill. Where is Higgs? Or perhaps he's dead at last. Or trapped in a lift somewhere. Or succumbed to amnesia, wandering the land with his turnips stuffed with ticket stubs.
Yes. Well, I didn't bring Myrtle tonight. Not exactly her cup of tea, I thought, tonight.
Oh, over her head, you mean?
Well, no, I mean, it's a sort of thriller, isn't it?
Is it?
Well, that's what I heard. Who killed Thing? No one will leave the house.
I suppose so, underneath.
Underneath, it's a whodunit, man. Look at it.
They look at it. The room, the body, silence.
Has it started yet?
Yes,
Are you sure?
it's a pause.
You can't start with a pause. If you want my opinion, there's total panic back there. Where's Higgs tonight, then?
It will follow me to the grave and become my epitaph. Here lies Moon, the second string. Where's Higgs? Sometimes I dream of revolution, a bloody coup d'etat by the second rank, troops of actors slaughtered by their understudies, magicians sawn in half by indefatigably smiling glamour girls, cricket teams wiped out by marauding bands of 12th men. I dream of champions chopped down by rabbit-punching sparring partners, while eternal bridesmaids turn and rake the bridegrooms over the sausage rolls, and parliamentary private secretaries plant bombs in the minister's jag. Comedians die on provincial stages, robbed of their feeds by mutually triumphant stooges. And March, an army of assistants and deputies, the seconds in command, the runners up, the right-hand men, storming the palace gates when second son has already mounted the throne, having committed regicide with a croquet mallet. Stand-ins of the world stand up. Sometimes I dream of Higgs.
Oh, chocolate.
What kind?
Black magic.
No thanks.
I'll give you a tip then. Watch the girl.
You think she did it?
No, the girl. Watch her.
What girl?
Oh, you won't know her. I'll give you a nudge.
You know her, do you?
What's that supposed to mean?
Beg your pardon?
I'm trying to tip you a wink, give you a nudge as good as a tip. Oh, for God's sake, Moon, what's the matter with you? You could do yourself some good spotting her first time out. She's new, from the provinces and going straight to the top. Now, I don't want to put words into your mouth, but a word from us and we could make her.
Oh, I suppose you've made dozens of them like that.
I'll have you know, I'm a family man, devoted to my homely but good-natured wife, and if you're suggesting
No.
a man of my scrupulous morality,
I'm sorry.
falsely besmirched.
Is that her?
Mrs. Drudge has entered.
Don't be absurd, I wouldn't be seen dead with the old...
Mrs. Drudge is the Char, a middle-aged, turbaned woman, and she heads straight for the radio, dusting on the trot.
Mrs. Drudge, the help.
We interrupt our programme for a special police message. The search still goes on for the escaped madman who is on the run in Essex.
Essex?
County police, led by Inspector Hound, have received a report that the man has been seen in the desolate marshes around Muldoon Manor. He is wearing a darkish suit with a lightish shirt. He is of medium height and build and youngish. Anyone seeing a man answering to this description and acting suspiciously is advised to phone the nearest police station. That is the end of the police message.
A man answering this description has appeared behind Mrs. Drudge, and he is acting suspiciously. He creeps in, he creeps out. Mrs. Drudge does not see him, and he does not see the body. Mrs. Drudge turns off the radio and resumes her cleaning. She does not see the body. Quite fortuitously, her view of the body is always blocked, and when it isn't, she has her back to it. However, she is dusting and polishing her way towards it.
So that's what they say about me, is it?
What?
Oh, I know what goes on behind my back. Sniggers, slanders, hole in the corner innuendo. Oh, what have you heard?
Nothing.
Tittle tattle, tittle, my dear fellow tattle. I take no notice of it. The sly envy of scandal mongers. I can afford to ignore them. I'm a respectable married man.
Incidentally,
Water off a duck's back, I assure you.
who was that lady I saw you with last night?
How dare you? How dare you? Don't you come here with your slimy insinuations. My wife Myrtle understands perfectly well that a man of my critical standing is obliged occasionally to mingle with the world of the footlights simply by way of keeping au fait with the latest.
Well, no, I'm sorry.
That a critic of my scrupulous integrity should be vilified and pilloried in the stocks of common gossip.
Oh, shush.
I have nothing to hide. Why, if this should reach the ears of my beloved Myrtle.
Can I have a chocolate?
What? Oh, yes, my dear fellow. Yes, let's have a chocolate. No point in... Yes, good show. Which one do you fancy? Cherry, strawberry, coffee cream, Turkish delight?
I'll have Montélimar.
Ah, sorry.
Gooseberry fondue?
No.
Pistachio fudge? Nectarine cluster? Hickory nut praline? Chateau Neuf de Pape 55 cracknel?
I'm afraid not. Caramel?
Yeah, it's all right.
Thanks very much. Incidentally, old chap, I'd be grateful if you didn't mention, I mean, you know how these misunderstandings get about.
What?
The fact is, Myrtle simply doesn't like the theatre.
Mrs. Drudge, whose discovery of the body has been imminent, and now by way of tidying the room, slides the couch over the corpse, hiding it completely. She resumes dusting and dusting.
By the way, congratulations, Birdboot.
What?
At the Theatre Royal, your entire review reproduced in LEDs.
Oh, that old thing.
Well, you've seen it, of course.
Well, I was passing.
Well, I definitely intend to take a second look when it has settled down.
As a matter of fact, I do have a few colour transparencies. I don't know whether you'd care to...
Oh, please, love to, yeah.
Birdboot hands over a few coloured slides and a battery-operated viewer, which Moon holds up to his eyes as he speaks.
Yes, lovely, awfully sound. It has scale, it has colour, it is, in the best sense of the word, electric. Large as it is a small masterpiece. I would go so far as to say kinetic, without being pop. And having said that, I think it must be said that here we have a review that adds a new dimension to the critical scene. I urge you to make haste to the Theatre Royal, for this is the stuff of life itself. All I ever got was unforgettable on posters for, what was it?
Oh, yes, I know. Was that you? I thought it was Higgs.
The phone rings. Mrs. Drudge seems to have been waiting for it to do so, and for the last few seconds has been dusting it with an intense concentration. She snatches it up.
Hello, the drawing room of Lady Muldoon's country residence, one morning in early spring. Hello, Who? Who did you wish to speak to? I'm afraid there is no one of that name here. This is all very mysterious, and I'm sure it's leading up to something. I hope nothing is amiss, for we, that is Lady Muldoon and her house guests, are here cut off from the world, including Magnus, the wheelchair-ridden half-brother of her ladyship's husband, Lord Albert Muldoon, who 10 years ago went out for a walk on the cliffs and was never seen again. And all alone, for they had no children.
Derivative, of course.
But quite sound.
Should a stranger enter our midst, which I very much doubt, I will tell him you called. Goodbye.
He puts down the phone and catches sight of the previously seen suspicious character, who has now entered again, more suspiciously than ever, through the French windows. He senses her stare, freezes, and straightens up.
Hello there. I'm Simon Gascoigne. I hope you don't mind. The door was open, so I wandered in. I'm a friend of Lady Muldoon, the lady of the house, having made her acquaintance through a mutual friend, Felicity Cunningham, shortly after moving into this neighbourhood just the other day.
I'm Mrs. Drudge. I don't live in, but I pop in on my bicycle when the weather allows to help in the running of charming, though somewhat isolated, Muldoon Manor. Judging by the time, you did well to get here before high water cut us off for all practical purposes from the outside world.
I took the shortcut over the cliffs and followed one of the old smugglers' paths through the treacherous swamps that surround this strangely inaccessible house.
Yes, many visitors have remarked on the topographical quirk in the local strata, whereby there are no roads leading from the manor, though there are ways of getting to it, weather allowing.
Yes. Well, I must say, it's a lovely day so far.
Ah, but now that the cuckoo beard is in bud, there'll be fog before the sun hits Foster's Ridge.
I say, it's wonderful how you country people really know weather.
Know weather what?
Yes. It does seem to be coming on a bit foggy.
The fog is very treacherous around here. It rolls off the sea without warning, shrouding the cliffs in a deadly mantle of blind man's buff.
Yes, I've heard it said.
I've known whole weekends when Muldoon Manor, as this lovely old Queen Anne house is called, might as well have been floating on the pack ice for all the good it would have done phoning the police. It was on such a weekend as this that Lord Muldoon, who had lately brought his beautiful bride back to the home of his ancestors, walked out of this house 10 years ago, and his body was never found.
Yes, indeed. Poor Cynthia.
His name was Albert.
Yes, indeed. Poor Albert. But tell me, is Lady Muldoon about?
I believe she's playing tennis on the lawn with Felicity Cunningham.
Felicity Cunningham?
A mutual friend, I believe you said. A happy chance. I will tell them you are here.
Well, I can't really stay, as a matter of fact. Please don't disturb them. I really should be off.
They would be very disappointed. It is some time since we've had a fall for pontoon bridge at the manor, and I don't play cards myself.
There is another guest, then?
Major Magnus, the crippled half-brother of Lord Muldoon, who turned up out of the blue from Canada just the other day, completes the house party.
Mrs. Drudge leaves on this, and Simon is undecided.
I think I must be waiting for Higgs to die.
What?
Half afraid that I will vanish when he does.
The phone rings. Simon picks it up.
Hello?
I wonder if it's the same for Buckridge.
Who?
Third string.
You're standing?
Does he wait for Higgs and I to write each other's obituary? Does he dream?
To whom did you wish to speak?
What's he like?
Bitter.
There is no one here of that name.
No, as a critic. What's Puckeridge like as a critic?
Nobody knows.
You must have got the wrong number.
There's always been me and Higgs.
Simon
Replaces the phone and paces nervously. Birdboot consults his programme.
Simon Gascoigne. It's not him, of course.
What?
I said it's not him.
Who is it then?
Well, my guess is it's Magnus.
In disguise, you mean?
What?
You think he's Magnus in disguise?
I don't think you're concentrating, Moon.
I thought you said...
You keep chattering on about Higgs and Puckeridge. I mean, what's the matter with you?
I wonder if they talk about me.
A strange impulse makes Simon turn on the radio.
Here is another police message. Essex County Police are still searching in vain for the madman who is at large in the deadly marshes of the coastal region. Inspector Hound, who is masterminding the operation, is not available for comment, but it is widely believed that he has a secret plan. Meanwhile, police and volunteers are combing the swamps with loud hailers, shouting, "Don't be a madman, give yourself up." That is the end of the police message.
Simon turns off the radio. He is clearly nervous.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I should think my name is seldom off Puckridge's lips. Sad, really. I mean, it's no life at all. A stand-in, stand-in.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, Higgs never gives me a second thought. I can tell by the way he nods.
Revenge, of course.
What?
Jealousy.
Nonsense. There's nothing personal in it.
The paranoid grudge.
It is merely that it is not enough to wax at another's wane, to be held in reserve, to be on hand, on call, to step in or not at all, the substitute, the near offer, the temporary acting. For I am Moon, continuous Moon, in my own shoes. Moon in June, April and September, and no member of the human race keeps warm my bit of space. Yes, I can tell by the way he nods.
Quite mad, of course.
What?
The answer lies out there in the swamps.
Oh.
The skeleton in the cupboard is coming home to roost.
Oh, yes. Yes. Already in the opening stages, we note the classic impact of the catalytic figure, the outsider, plunging through to the centre of an ordered world and setting up the disruptions, the shockwaves, which, unless I'm much mistaken, will strip these comfortable people, these crustaceans in the rock pool of society, strip them of their shells and leave them exposed as the trembling raw meat which, at heart, is all of us. but there is more to it than that.
I agree. Keep your eye on Magnus.
A tennis ball bounces through the French windows, cleanly followed by Felicity, who is in her 20s. She wears a pretty tennis outfit and carries a racket.
Out!
It takes her a moment to notice Simon, who's standing shiftily to one side, and Moon is stirred by a memory.
I say, bird boot.
That's the one.
You!
Yes. Hello again.
Oh, what are you doing here?
Well,
She's...
no doubt you're surprised to see me.
Honestly, darling, you really are extraordinary.
Yes. Well, here I am.
You must have been desperate to see me. I mean, I am flattered, but couldn't it wait until I got back?
There is something you don't know.
What is it?
Look, about the things I said, it may be that I got carried away a little. We both did.
What are you trying to say?
I love another.
I see.
I didn't make any promises. I merely...
You don't have to say any more.
Oh, I didn't want to hurt you.
Of all the nerve!
Well,
You philandering coward!
Let me explain.
Oh, this is hardly the time and the place. You think you can just barge in anywhere, whatever I happen to be doing?
But I want you to know that my admiration for you is sincere. I don't want you to think that I didn't mean those things I said.
I'll kill you for this, Simon Gascoigne.
He leaves in tears, passing Mrs. Drudge, who has entered in time to overhear her last remark.
It was her.
I told you, straight to the top.
No.
Yes, what is it?
I've come to set up the card table, sir.
I don't think I can stay.
Oh, Lady Muldoon will be disappointed.
Does she know I'm here?
Oh, yes, sir. I just told her, and it put her in quite a tizzy.
Really? Well, I suppose now that I've cleared the air, quite a tizzy, you say? Really?
He and Mrs. Drudge start setting up the card table. Mrs. Drudge leaves when this is done.
Felicity. She's the one.
Nonsense, red herring.
Oh, I mean, it was her.
What was?
That lady I saw you with last night.
Are you suggesting that a man of my scrupulous integrity would trade his pen for a mess of pottage simply because in the course of my profession I happen to have struck up an acquaintance, or to have, that is, a warm regard, if you like, for a fellow toiler in the vineyard of grease paint? I find it simply intolerable to be pellified and pilloried.
Oh, I never implied that.
To find myself the object of uninformed malice, the petty slanders of little men.
I'm sorry.
To suggest that my good opinion in a journal of unimpeachable integrity is at the disposal of the first coquette who gives me what I want.
Shush.
Oh, ladies' man, why, Myrtle and I have been together now for... Christ, who's that?
Enter Lady Cynthia Muldoon through French windows, a beautiful woman. She wears a cocktail dress, is formally coiffured, and carries a tennis racket, and her effect on Bird Boot is also impressive. He half rises and sinks back agape.
Simon.
Lady Muldoon.
No, I mean, who is she?
Cynthia.
Don't say anything for a moment. Just hold me.
He seizes her and glues his lips to hers, as they say, and whilst their lips are glued...
Oh, a vision of eternal grace, a poem.
I think she's got her mouth open.
We can't go on meeting like this.
We have nothing to be ashamed of.
But darling, this is madness.
Yes, I am mad with love for you.
Please, remember where we are.
Cynthia, I love you.
Don't. I love Albert.
He's dead. Do you understand me?
No.
Albert's dead.
I'll never give up hope. Let me go. We are not free.
I don't care. We were meant for each other, had we but met in time.
You're a cad, Simon. You will use me and cast me aside as you've cast aside so many others.
No, Cynthia, you can make me a better person.
You're ruthless. So strong. So cruel.
Ruthlessly, he kisses her.
The son she never had, now projected in this handsome stranger and transformed into lover. Youth, vigour, the animal, the athlete as aesthete, breaking down the barriers at the deepest level of desire.
By Jove, I think you're right. Her mouth is open.
Stop. Can't you see we're making a fool of yourself?
I'll kill anyone who comes between us.
Yes? What is it, Mrs. Drudge?
Shall I close the windows, my lady? The fog is beginning to roll off the sea like a deadly mantle.
Yes, you'd better. Yes. It looks as if we're in for one of those days. Are the cards ready?
Yes, my lady.
Will you tell Miss Cunningham we're waiting?
Yes, my lady.
And fetch the Major down.
I think I hear him coming now, my lady.
As she leaves, the sound of a wheelchair approaching down several flights of stairs with landings in between. It arrives bearing Magnus at about 15 miles per hour, knocking Simon over violently.
Simon!
Never had a chance. Ran under the wheels.
Darling, are you all right?
I have witnesses.
Oh, Simon, say something.
I'm most frightfully sorry.
How long have you been a pedestrian?
Ever since I could walk.
Can you walk now? Thank God. Magnus, this is Simon Gascoigne.
What's he doing here?
He's just turned up.
Really? And how do you like it here?
I could stay forever.
Felicity enters.
So, you're still here?
Of course he's still here. We're going to play cards. There's no need to introduce you two, is there? For I recall now that you, Simon, met me through Felicity, our mutual friend.
Yes, Simon is an old friend, though not as old as you, Cynthia, dear.
Yes, I haven't seen Felicity since...
Last night?
Indeed. Well, you deal, Felicity. Simon, you help me with the sofa. Will you partner Felicity, Magnus, against Simon and me?
Will Simon and you always be partnered against me, Cynthia?
What do you mean, Magnus?
You're a damned attractive woman, Cynthia.
Please. Please remember Albert.
Albert's dead, Cynthia, and you are still young. I'm sure he would have wished that you and I...
No, Magnus. This is not to be.
It's that Gascoigne, isn't it? I'll kill him if he comes between us.
Simon.
The sofa is shoved towards the card table, once more revealing the corpse, though not to the players.
Simon's for the job, all right.
Right, who starts?
I do. No bid.
Did I hear you say you saw Felicity last night, Simon?
Did I? Yes, quite. Your turn, Felicity.
Oh, I've had my turn, haven't I, Simon? Now it seems it's Cynthia's turn.
Oh, that's my trick, Felicity, dear.
Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, Simon.
Yes, I've heard it said.
So I hope you have not been cheating, Simon.
No, Felicity. It's just that I hold all the cards.
Well done, Simon.
Devil.
Strange how Simon appeared into the neighbourhood from nowhere. We know so little about him.
It doesn't always pay to show your hand.
Right, Simon. It's your opening on the minor bid.
I hear there's a dangerous madman on the loose.
Simon?
Yes? Yes. Sorry.
I Meld.
Yes, personally I think he's hiding out in the deserted cottages on the cliffs.
Flash!
Simon, your luck's
Lucky beggar.
We shall see. The night is not over yet, Simon Gascoigne.
Felicity exit.
So, you're the crippled half-brother of Lord Muldoon who turned up out of the blue from Canada just the other day, are you? It's taken you a long time to get here. What did you do? Walk? Oh, I say, I'm most frightfully sorry.
Careful spin round the rose garden, Cynthia.
No, Magnus. I must talk to Simon.
My round, I think, Major.
You think so?
Yes, Major, I do.
There's an old Canadian proverb handed down from the Blackfoot Indians which says, "He who laughs last laughs longest."
Yes, I've heard it said.
Well, I think I'll go and oil my gun.
He exits.
I think
No, it's over between her and me, Cynthia. It was a mere passing, fleeting thing we had. But now that I have found you...
if I find that you've been untrue to me, if I find that you have falsely seduced me, my dear husband Albert, I will kill you, Simon Gascoigne.
Mrs. Drudge has entered silently to witness this. On this tableau, pregnant with significance, the act ends, the body still undiscovered. Perfunctory applause. Moon and Birdboot seem to be completely preoccupied, becoming audible, as it were.
Camps it around the old Vic in his opera cloak and passes me the tat.
Do you believe in love at first sight?
It's not that I think I'm a better critic.
I feel my whole life changing.
Well, I am, but it's not that.
Oh, the world will laugh at me, I know.
But it's not that there are much in the way of shoes to step into.
Call me an infatuated old fool.
They are not.
Condemn me.
He is standing in my light, that is all.
Betrayer of my class.
An almost continuous eclipse, interrupted by the phenomenon of moonlight.
I don't care, I'm a goner.
And I dream
The Blue Angel all over again.
of the day his temperature climbs through the top of his head,
Ah, the sweet madness of love.
of the spasm on the stairs,
Myrtle farewell.
dreaming of the stair he'll never reach.
Oh, I live but only once.
Sometimes I dream that I've killed him.
What?
What?
Yes.
They pull themselves together.
Yes. A beautiful performance. A collector's piece, I shall say so.
The very promising debut, I'll put in a good word.
It would be as hypocritical of me to withhold praise on the grounds of personal feelings as it would be to withhold censure.
You're right, courageous.
Oh, I know what people will say. There goes Birdboot, bartering up his latest...
Oh, ignore them.
But I rise above that. The fact is, I genuinely believe her performance to be one of the summits of the range of contemporary theatre.
Trim-buttocked. That's the word for her.
The radiance, the inner sadness.
Does actually she come across with it?
I mean, the part is written as a mere cipher, but she manages to make Cynthia a real person.
Cynthia?
And should she, as a result, care to meet me over a drink, simply by way of, thanking me, as it were?
Well, you fickle old bastard.
Are you suggesting that? Well, now, shaping up quite nicely, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yes, yes. A nice trichotomy of forces. One must reserve judgment, of course, until the confrontation, but I think it's pretty clear where we're heading.
Oh, I agree. It's Magnus a mile off.
What's Magnus a mile off?
If we knew that, we wouldn't be here.
Let me say at once that it has élan, while at the same time avoiding éclat. Having said that, and I think it must be said, I'm bound to ask, does this play know where it's going?
Well, it seems open and shut to me, Moon. Magnus is not what he pretends to be, and he's got his next victim marked down.
Does it, I repeat, declare its affiliations? There are moments, and I would not begrudge it this, when the play, if we can call it that, and I think on balance we can, aligns itself uncompromisingly on the side of life. Je suis, it seems to be saying, ergo sum. But is that enough? I think we're entitled to ask, for what in fact is the play concerned with? It is my belief that here we are concerned with what I have referred to elsewhere as the nature of identity. I think we're entitled to ask, and here one is irresistibly reminded of Voltaire's cry, voila. I think we're entitled to ask, where is God?
Who?
God.
God?
I think we're entitled to ask.
The phone rings. The set resumes to reveal Cynthia, Felicity and Magnus about to take coffee, which is being taken round by Mrs. Drudge. Simon is missing and the body lies in position. Mrs. Drudge into the phone.
The same half an hour later. No, I'm sorry, there is no one of that name here. Black or white, my lady?
White, please.
Black or white, miss?
White, please.
Black or white, major?
White, please.
Sugar, my lady?
Yes, please.
Sugar, miss?
Yes, please.
Sugar, major?
Yes, please.
A biscuit, my lady?
No, thank you.
Second act, however, fails to fulfill the promise.
If you ask me, there is something funny going on.
Mrs. Drudge's approach to Felicity makes Felicity jump to her feet in impatience. She goes to the radio while Magnus declines his biscuit and Mrs. Drudge leaves.
We interrupt our programme for a special police message. The search for the dangerous madman who is on the loose in Essex has now narrowed to the immediate vicinity of Muldoon Manor. Police are hampered by the dead swamps and the fog, but believe that the madman spent last night in a deserted cottage on the cliff. The public is advised to stick together and make sure none of their number is missing. That is the end of the police message.
Felicity turns off the radio nervously.
Where's Simon?
Who?
Simon. We've seen him.
No.
Have you, Magnus?
No.
Oh.
Yes, there's something foreboding in the air. It's as if one of us were...
Oh, Felicity. Felicity, the house is all locked up tight. No one can get in, and the police are practically on the doorstep.
I don't know. It's just a feeling.
It's only the fog.
Hound will never get through on a day like this.
Fog!
He means the inspector.
Is he bringing a dog?
Not that I know of.
Never get through the swamps. Yes, I'm afraid the madman can show his hand in safety now.
A morning baying hooting is heard in the distance. Scary.
What's that?
It sounded like the cry of a gigantic hound.
Poor devil.
Shh.
There it is
They
again.
listen. The sound is repeated nearer.
It's coming this way. It's right outside the house.
Inspector
Mrs.
Hound.
Drudge enters.
A police dog?
Enter Inspector Hound. On his feet are swamp boots. These are two inflatable and inflated pontoons with flat bottoms about 2 foot across, and he carries a foghorn.
Lady Muldoon?
Yes?
I came as soon as I could. Where's my book, my foghorn and my swamp boots?
Mrs. Drudge will take them out. Be prepared, as the Force's motto has it, Inspector? How very resourceful.
It takes a bit more than a bit of weather to keep a policeman from his duty.
Mrs. Drudge leaves.
Yes. Oh, Inspector Hound. Felicity Cunningham, Major Magnus Muldoon.
Good evening.
Well,
Sorry.
Sorry. Please do go on.
Thank you. Well, tell me about it in your own words. Take your time. Begin at the beginning, but don't leave anything out.
I beg your pardon?
Fear nothing. You are in safe hands now. I hope you haven't moved anything.
I'm afraid I don't understand.
I'm Inspector Hound.
Yes.
Well, what's it all about?
I really have no idea.
Well, how did it begin?
What?
Well, the thing.
What thing?
The trouble.
There hasn't been any trouble.
Did you phone the police?
No.
I didn't.
What for?
I see. Well, that puts me in a very difficult position. Well, I'll be getting along then.
He moves toward the door.
I'm terribly sorry.
That's perfectly all right.
Thank you so much for coming.
Not at all. You never know, there might have been a serious matter.
Drink?
More serious than that, even.
Oh, no. Drink before you go.
Oh, no, thank you.
I do hope you find him.
Find who, madam? Out with it.
Oh, I thought you were looking for a lunatic.
And what do you know about that?
It was on the radio.
Was it indeed? Well, that's what I'm here about, really. I didn't want to mention it because I didn't know how much you knew. No point in causing unnecessary panic, even with a murderer in our midst.
Murderer, did you say?
Ah, so that was not on the radio.
Whom has been murdered, Inspector?
Well, perhaps no one. Yet. Let's hope we're in time.
You believe he is in our midst, Inspector?
I do. If any one of you have recently encountered a youngish, good-looking fellow in a smart suit, white shirt, hatless, well-spoken, someone possibly claiming to have just moved into the neighbourhood, someone on the surface who seems as sane as you or I, then now is the time to speak.
Don't
interrupt.
Inspector!
Oh, very well.
No, Felicity.
Please, Lady Cynthia, we're all in this together. I must ask you to put yourself completely in my hands.
Don't, Inspector. I love Albert.
I don't think you quite grasp my meaning.
Is one of us in danger, Inspector?
Didn't it strike you as odd that on his escape the madman made a beeline for Muldoon Manor? It's my guess that he bears a deep-seated grudge against someone in this very house. Lady Muldoon, where is your husband?
My husband? You don't mean...
I don't know, but I have reason to believe that one of you is the real McCoy.
The real what?
William Herbert McCoy, who was a young man meeting the madman in the street and being solicited for sixpence for a cup of tea, replied, "Why don't you do a decent day's work, you shifty old bag of horse shit?" in Canada, all those many years ago, and went on to make his fortune.
He starts to pace intensely.
The madman was a mere boy at the time, but he never forgot that moment, and thenceforth carried in his heart the promise of revenge.
And at which point he finds himself standing on top of the corpse. He looks down carefully.
Is there anything you've forgotten to tell me?
They all see the corpse for the first time.
So the madman has struck.
Oh, it's horrible, horrible.
Yes, just as I feared. Now you see the sort of man that you are protecting.
I can't believe it.
Oh, I'll have to tell him, Cynthia. Inspector, a stranger of that description has indeed appeared in our midst. Simon Gascoigne. Oh, he had charm, I'll give you that. And he took me in completely. Oh, I'm afraid I made a fool of myself over him. And so did Cynthia.
Where is he now?
He must be around the house. He couldn't get away in these conditions.
You're right. Fear not, Lady Muldoon. I shall apprehend the man who killed your husband.
My husband? I don't understand.
Everything points to Gascoigne.
But who's that?
Your husband.
No, it's not.
It is.
I tell you it's not.
I'm in charge of this case.
But that's not my husband.
You sure?
Of course I'm sure. For goodness sake.
Then who is it?
I don't know.
Anybody?
Well, I've never seen him before.
Quite like anybody I've ever met.
This case is becoming a complete shambles.
Well, what are we going to do?
I'll phone the police.
But you are the police.
Oh, thank God I'm here. The lines have been cut.
You mean?
Yes, we're on our own, cut off from the world and in grave danger.
You mean?
Yes, I think the killer will strike again.
You mean?
Yes, one of us ordinary mortals thrown together by fate and cut off by the elements is the murderer. He must be found. Search the house!
All depart speedily in different directions, leaving a momentarily empty stage. Simon strolls on. He notices the corpse and is surprised. He approaches it and turns it over. He stands up and looks about in an alarm.
This is where Simon gets the chop.
There is a shot. Simon falls dead. Inspector Hound runs on and crouches down by Simon's body, and Cynthia appears at the French window. She stops there and she stares.
What happened, Inspector?
He's dead. Simon Gascoigne, I presume. Rough justice even for a killer. Unless we assumed that the body could not have been lying there before Simon Gascoigne entered the house, but...
He slides the sofa over the body.
Who killed Gascoigne? And why?
Curtain, freeze, applause.
Why not?
Exactly. Good riddance.
Yes, getting away with murder must be quite easy, provided that one's motive is sufficiently inscrutable.
Fickle young pup. He was deceiving her left, right and centre.
Of course, I'd still have Puckridge behind me.
She needs someone steadier, more mature.
And if I could, so could he.
Yes, I know of a rather nice hotel, very discreet, run by a man of the world.
Uneasy lies the head that wears the crown.
Breakfast served in one's room and no questions asked.
Does Puckridge dream of me?
Hello, what's happened?
What? Oh, yes. What do you make of it so far?
Well, it is at this point that the play for me comes alive. The groundwork has been well and truly laid, and the author has taken the trouble to learn from the masters of the genre. He has created a real situation, and few will doubt his ability to resolve it with a startling denouement. Certainly, that is what it so far lacks. But it has a beginning, a middle, and I have no doubt it will prove to have an end. And for this, let us give thanks, and double thanks, for a good clean show without a trace of smut. But perhaps even all this would be for nothing, were it not for a performance which I consider to be one of the summits in the range of contemporary theatre, in what is possibly the finest Cynthia since the war.
If we examine this more closely, and I think close examination is the least tribute that this play deserves, I think we will find that within the austere framework of what is seen to be on one level a country house weekend, and what a useful symbol that is, the author has given us, yes, I will go so far, he has given us the human condition.
More talent in her little finger than
An uncanny ear that might have belonged to a Van Gogh.
the public scandal that the birthday honours to date have neglected to award her.
Faced as we are with such ubiquitous obliquity, it is hard. It is hard indeed, and therefore I will not attempt to refrain from invoking the names of Kafka, Sartre, Shakespeare, St. Paul, Beckett, Burkitt, Pinheiro, Pirandello, Dante, and Dorothy L. Sayers.
A rattling good evening out. I was held.
The phone starts to ring on the empty stage. Moon tries to ignore it.
Harder still. Harder still, if possible. Harder still, if it is possible to be. No, neither do I find it easy. Dante and Dorothy L. Sayers. Harder still.
Others taking part included Moon.
For Moon has lost patience and is bearing down on the ringing phone. He is frankly irritated. Picking
Hello.
up the phone, he barks. Pause. Turns to Bird Boot quietly.
It's for you.
Hello.
Bird Boot gets up. He approaches cautiously. Moon gives him the phone and moves back to his seat. Bird Boot watches him go. He looks round and smiles weakly to himself.
Hello. Oh, for God's sake, Myrtle, I told you never to phone me at work. What? Last night? Oh, good God, woman, this is hardly the time to... I assure you, Myrtle, there is absolutely nothing going on between me and... I took her to dinner simply by way of keeping her au fait with the world of the paint and the motley. Yes, I promise. Yes, I do. I said. Yes, I do. And you are mine too, Myrtle, darling. I can't. I'm not alone. No, she's not. All right. I love your little pink ears, and you are my own fluffy bunny boo. Oh, now, for God's sake, goodbye, Myrtle.
Bird Boot mops his brow with his handkerchief and puts down the phone. As he turns, a tennis ball bounces into the room through the French windows, followed by Felicity, as before, in a tennis outfit. The lighting is as it was, and everything is as it was. It is, let us say, the same moment of time.
Out!
You? Oh, yes, hello again.
What are you doing here?
Well,
Honestly, darling, you really are extraordinary.
yes, well, here I am.
You must have been desperate to see me. I mean, I'm flattered, but couldn't you wait until I got back?
No, you've got it all wrong.
What is it?
And about last night, look, perhaps I gave the wrong impression, got carried away a bit, perhaps.
What are you trying to say?
I want to call it off.
I see.
I didn't promise anything, and the fact is I have my reputation. People do talk.
You don't have to say any more.
And my wife, too. I don't know how she got to hear of it, but if...
Of all the nerve to march in here and just...
I'm sorry you had to find out like this. The fact is, I didn't mean it this way.
You philandering coward.
I'm sorry, but I want you to know that I meant those things I said. Oh, yes. Shows brilliant promise. I shall say so.
I'll kill you for this, Simon Gascoigne.
She leaves in tears, passing Mrs. Drudge, who has entered in time to overhear her last remark.
Good God.
I've come to set up the card table, sir.
I can't stay for a game of cards.
Oh, Lady Muldoon will be disappointed.
You mean she wants to meet me?
Oh, yes, sir. I just told her, and it put her in quite a tizzy.
Really? Yes. Well, a man of my influence is not to be sneezed at. I think I have some small name for the making of reputations. Yes, quite a tizzy, you say.
Bird Boot. Bird Boot. What the hell are you doing?
Nothing.
Stop making an ass of yourself. Come back.
Oh, I know what you're thinking. But the fact is, I genuinely consider her performance to be one of the summits in the race.
Cynthia enters as before. Mrs. Drudge has gone.
Darling.
Oh, good evening. May I say that I genuinely consider
Oh,
your...
don't say anything at the moment. Just hold me.
All right. Oh, my
They
God.
kiss.
She does have her mouth open. Dear lady, from the moment I first saw you, I felt my whole life changing.
We can't go on meeting like this.
I am not ashamed to proclaim nightly my love for you. But fortunately, that will not be necessary. I know of a very good hotel, discreet, run by a man of the world.
But darling, this is madness.
Yes, I am mad with love.
Please remember where we are.
I don't care. Let them think what they like. I love you.
Don't. I love Albert.
He's dead. Do you understand me? Albert's dead.
No, I'll never give up hope. Let me go. We're not free.
You mean Myrtle? She means nothing to me. Nothing. She's all cocoa and blue nylon fur slippers. Not a spark of creative genius in her whole slumping knee-length knickered body.
You're a cad, Simon. You will use me and cast me aside as you've cast aside so many others.
No, Cynthia. Now that I have found you.
Oh, you're ruthless. You're strong. So cruel.
Birdboot seizes her in an embrace, during which Mrs. Drudge enters and Moon's fevered voice is heard.
Have you taken leave of your tiny mind?
Stop. Can't you see you're making a fool of yourself?
She's right.
You keep out of this.
Yes. What is it, Mrs. Drudge?
Should I close the windows, milady? The fog's beginning to roll up.
Yes, you'd better.
Look, they've got your number.
I'll leave in my own time, thank you very much.
It's to finish a view, I suppose you know that.
I don't need your tuppenny Grub Street prognostications. I have found something bigger and finer.
If only it were Higgs.
And fetch the Major down.
I think I hear him coming now, milady.
She leaves, and the sound of a wheelchair's approach as before. Birdboot prudently keeps out of the chair's former path, but it enters from the next door down and knocks him flying. A babble of anguish and protestation.
Simon, say something.
That reckless bastard.
Thank God.
What's he doing here?
He just turned up.
Really? And how do you like it here?
I couldn't take it night after night.
Felicity enters.
So, you're still here?
Of course he's still here. We're going to play cards. There's no need to introduce you to, is there? For I recall now that you and Simon met me through Felicity, our mutual friend.
Yes, Simon is an old friend.
Yes, well, I like to give young up-and-comers the benefit of my... of course, she lacks technique as yet.
Last night?
I'm not talking about last night.
Indeed. Well, you deal, Felicity. Simon, you help me with the sofa.
Did you see that? Tried to kill me. I told you it was Magnus, not that it is Magnus.
Who did it, you mean?
What?
You think it's not Magnus who did it?
Oh, get a grip on yourself, Moon. The facts are staring you in the face. He's after Cynthia, for one thing.
It's Gascoigne, isn't it?
Over my dead body.
I'll kill him if he comes between us.
For God's sake, sit down.
Simon!
She needs me, Moon. I've got to make up a four.
Cynthia and Birdboot move the sofa as before, and they all sit at the card table.
Right. Who starts?
I do. I'll dummy for a no-bid ruff and double my holding on South's Queen.
Did I hear you say you saw Felicity last night, Simon?
P21s or trump my contract. Cynthia's turn.
I'll trump your contract with 5 dummy no-trumps there. And I'll move West Rooks for a rebid with the banker's ruff on the second trick there. Simon?
Would you mind doing that again?
And I'll ruff your dummy with 5 no-bid trumps there. And I'll support your rebid with the banker for the solo ruff in the dummy trick there.
And I call your bid.
Not again.
Well done, Simon.
Luck of the devil.
Strange how Simon appeared into the neighbourhood from nowhere. We know so little about him.
Right, Simon. Is your opening on the minor bid? Let's see. I'll overbid the spade convention with 2 no trumps and a king's gambit offered there. And West Dummy's split double to Queen's Bishop 4 there. Yeah.
Faites vos jeux, rien ne va plus, rouge et noir, 0.
Simon?
And I call your bluff.
I meld.
I huff.
I rough.
I bluff.
Twist?
Bust.
Check.
Snap.
How's that?
Not out.
Double
Double
top.
top.
Bingo.
No, Simon, you're lucky.
Well, we shall see. The night is not over yet, Simon Gascoigne.
He quickly exits.
Red herring. Smell it a mile off. Oh, yeah, she's clean as a whistle. I've seen it 1,000 times. And I've seen you before somewhere, haven't I? Strange, there's something about you.
Care for a spin round the rose garden, Cynthia?
No, Magnus, I must talk to Simon.
There's nothing for you there, you know.
You think so?
Oh, yes, she knows which side her bread is buttered. I am a man not without a certain influence among those who would reap the limelight, and she's not going to throw me over for a heavily disguised cripple.
There's an old Canadian proverb.
Don't give me that. I tumbled you right from the start. Oh, yes, you chaps are not as clever as you think. Sooner or later you make your mistake. Incidentally, where was it I saw you? Because I've definitely seen...
Well, I think I'll go and oil my gun.
Magnus exits.
Double bluff. I've seen it 1,000 times.
I think Magnus suspects something. And Felicity. Simon, was there anything between you and Felicity?
Oh, no, that's all over now. I merely flattered her a little over a drink, told her she'd go far, that sort of thing. Oh, dear me, the fuss that's been made over a simple flirtation.
Mrs. Drudge enters.
If I find you forcibly seduced me from my dear husband Albert, I will kill you, Simon Gascoigne.
The curtain as before. Mrs. Drudge and Cynthia leave. Birdboot starts to follow them.
Birdboot! For God's sake, pull yourself together.
I can't help it.
What do you think you're doing? You're turning it into a complete farce.
I know, but I can't live without her. I shall.
He is making erratic, neurotic journeys about the stage.
Of course, I shall resign my position. I don't care. I'm a goner, I tell you.
He has arrived at the body. He looks at it in surprise, hesitates, bends, and turns it over.
Birdboot, think of your family, your friends, your high standing in the world of letters. I think, what are you doing? Birdboot, leave it alone. Come and sit down. What's the matter with you?
It's Higgs.
What?
It's Higgs.
Don't be silly.
I tell you, it's Higgs. I don't understand. He's dead.
Dead?
I mean, who would want to?
He must have been lying there
Kill
all the time.
Higgs.
Oh, well, what's he doing here? I was standing in tonight.
Moon.
So it's me and Puckeridge now.
Moon.
But I swear
I've got it.
But I didn't.
My God. So that was it. Moon. Now I see it.
I swear I didn't.
Now finally I see it all.
There is a shot, and Birdboot falls dead.
Birdboot!
He runs on to Birdboot's body. Cynthia appears at the French windows. She stops and stares, all as before.
Oh my God! What's happened, Inspector?
He's dead. That's a bit rough, isn't it? A bit extreme. He may have had his faults. I admit he was a fickle old, but who did this and why?
Moon turns to face her. He stands up and makes swiftly for his seat, but before he gets there, he is stopped by the sound of voices. Simon and Hound are occupying the critics' seats. Moon freezes.
To say that it is without pace, point, focus, interest, drama, wit, or originality is to say simply that it does not happen to be my cup of tea. One only has to compare this ragbag with the masters of the genre to see that here we have a trifle that is not my cup of tea at all.
I'm sorry to be blunt, but there's no getting away from it. It lacks pace. A complete ragbag.
I will go further. Those of you who were fortunate enough to be at the Comédie Française on Wednesday last will not need to be reminded that hysterics are no substitute for éclat.
It lacks élan.
Some of the cast seem to have given up acting altogether, apparently aghast, with every reason, at finding themselves involved in an evening that would, and indeed will, make the angels weep.
I am not a prude, but I fail to see any reason for the shower of filth and sexual allusion hoisted onto an unsuspecting public in the guise of modernity at all costs.
Behind Moon, Felicity, Magnus, and Mrs. Drudge have made their entrances so that he turns to face their semicircle.
Well, Inspector, is this your man?
Yes, yes.
It's Simon.
Yes, poor... Is this some kind of joke?
Oh, if it is, Inspector, it's in very poor taste.
Moon pulls himself together and becomes galvanic, a little wild, in grief for Birdboot.
All right, I'm going to find out who did this. I want everyone to go to the positions they occupied when the shot was fired. No one will leave the house.
They move hysterically.
I think we all had the opportunity to fire the shot, Inspector.
I am not.
But which of us would want to?
Well, perhaps you, Major Magnus.
Why should I want to kill him?
Because he was onto you. Yes, he tumbled you right from the start, and you shot him just when he was about to reveal that you killed this chap.
But what motive would be there for killing him? And who is this chap? Inspector?
I don't know. Quite unlike anyone I've ever met. Well, now...
Inspector?
Yes, what is it, dear lady?
Happening to enter this room earlier in the day to close the windows, I chanced to overhear a remark made by the deceased Simon Gascoigne to her ladyship, viz. I will kill anyone who comes between us.
Ah, yes. Well, that's it then. This chap was obviously killed by Simon.
But he didn't come between us.
And who then killed Simon?
Subsequent to that reported remark, I also happened to be in earshot of a remark made by Lady Muldoon to the deceased, to the effect, I will kill you, Simon Gascoigne. I hope you don't mind my mentioning it.
Not at all. I'm glad you did. It is from these chance remarks that we in the force build up our complete picture before moving in to make the arrest. It will not be long now, I fancy, and I must warn you, Lady Muldoon, that anything you say will be...
Yes, I hated Simon Gascoigne, for he had me in his power, but I didn't kill him.
Prior to that, Inspector, I also chanced to overhear a remark made by Miss Cunningham, no doubt in the heat of the moment, but it stuck in my mind as these things do. This, I will kill you for this, Simon Gascoigne.
Ah, the final piece of the jigsaw. I think I am now in a position to reveal the mystery. This man was, of course, McCoy, the Canadian who, as we heard, meeting Gascoigne in the street and being solicited for sixpence for a toffee apple, smacked him across the ear with the cry, "How's that for a grudge to harbour, you sniffling little Berkshire," all those many years ago. Gascoigne bided his time, but in due course tracked McCoy down to this house, having, on the way, met, in the neighbourhood, a simple, ambitious girl from the provinces. He was charming, persuasive, told her, I have no doubt, that she would go straight to the top, and she, flattered by his sophistication, taken in by his promises to see her all right on the night, gave in to his simple desires. Perhaps she loved him, we shall never know, but in the very hour of her promised triumph, his eye fell on another. Yes, I refer to Lady Cynthia Muldoon. From the moment he caught sight of her, there was no other woman for him. He was in her spell, willing to sacrifice anything, even you, Felicity Cunningham. It was only today, unexpectedly finding him here, that you learned the truth. There was a bitter argument which ended with you promising to kill him, a promise that you carried out in this very room at your first opportunity. And I must warn you that anything you say...
But it doesn't make sense.
Not at first glance, perhaps.
Would not Simon have been killed by the same person who killed McCoy?
But why should any of us want to kill a perfect stranger?
Perhaps he was not a stranger to one of us.
But Simon was the madman, wasn't he?
We only have your word for that, Inspector. We only have your word for a lot of things. For instance, McCoy. Who is he? Is his name McCoy? Is there any truth in that fantastic and implausible tale of the insult inflicted in the Canadian streets? Or is there something else, something quite unknown to us behind all this? Suppose, for a moment, that the madman, having killed this unknown stranger for private and inscrutable reasons of his own, was disturbed before he could dispose of the body. So, having cut the telephone wires, he decided to return to the scene of the crime, masquerading as Police Inspector Hound.
But I'm not mad. I'm almost sure I'm not mad.
Only to discover that in the house was a man, Simon Gascoigne, who recognised the corpse as a man against whom you had held a deep-seated grudge.
But I didn't kill. I'm almost sure.
I put it to you. Are you the real Inspector Hound?
You know damn well I'm not. What's it all about?
I thought as much.
I only dreamed. Sometimes I dreamed.
So it was you!
The madman!
The killer!
Oh, it's horrible, horrible!
The stranger in our midst!
Yes, we had a shrewd suspicion he would turn up here, and he walked into the trap.
What trap?
I am not the real Magnus Muldoon. It was a mere subterfuge, and I now
Standing up and
reveal
removing
myself
his
as...
moustaches.
I now reveal myself as...
You mean?
Yes, I am the real Inspector Hound.
Puckeridge!
Stand where you are or I shoot.
Puckeridge! You killed Higgs, and Bird Boot tried to tell me.
Stop, in the name of the law. I have waited
Moon turns to run.
I have waited a
Man,
long time
Moon
for
drops
this
to his
moment.
knees after the shot.
A long time.
So you are the real Inspector Hound?
Not only that, I've been leading a double life, at least.
You mean?
Yes, it's been 10 long years, but don't you know me?
You mean?
Yes, it is me, Albert, who lost his memory and joined the force, rising, by merit, to the rank of inspector. His past blotted out, until fate cast him back into the home he left behind, back to the beautiful woman he'd brought here as his girlish bride. In short, my darling, my memory has returned, and your long wait is over.
Oh, Albert.
Puckeridge!
Embrace.
You cunning bastard!
Moon dies. The end.
Jeez.